What is up, YouTube? And today we're going to be talking about the two banners that will be replacing Kayn and also Destina, and if they are worth pulling for. Now, the first of the two banners that will be replacing Kayn and Destina is Kayron. Now, Kayron's main gimmick is in his S2. His S2 is basically immortality and evasion when he gets hit to 1 HP or lower. And that makes him very powerful because you're going to see his S3 and his S1 actually do extra damage depending on how low he is. Now, for his S3 though, his S3 will actually increase his own attack and also will actually extend the duration of any buffs granted to him by 1 turn if he kills an enemy with it, which works very well with that immortality and evasion because you can S3, after you kill a unit with it, you'll actually extend your immortality and evasion, and then you can S1 right after, which is an AoE attack that does a ton of damage and you can actually soul burn it. Also, when your S2 procs, the cooldown of your S3 gets reset, so you can actually S3 twice in pretty much every battle. Now, the main thing with Kayron is that, yes, he has these OP buffs when he gets hit low, but if he has unbuffable or if he gets stripped or he gets silenced, then he's pretty bad, right? So he gets countered pretty hard by units like Angel of Light, Angelica, Peyra, Ran, just any units that can strip his buffs and actually just counter him will be very, very strong against him, obviously. Now, for his exclusive equipment, he has critical hit chance, which is one of the best besides speed for his stats. And then also he'll have these skill upgrades to his S1 and his S3. So his S1 will have increased damage, same with his S3. You're also going to see another one that will inflict silence on the enemy for 1 turn when you use your S3. And the reason that can be good is because you're going to see here that he actually has the fastest base speed in the game at 129, which will make him very easy to build on high speed. Some people like to run Kayron as an opener, which works very well if you have him very fast because his S3 does silence. However, I don't really recommend it because 1, it's hard to gear him like that, and 2, also because of the fact that he doesn't really scale with speed in his kit, whereas units like Ran and Sid scale with their speed, so they do extra damage, meaning that it's hard to build him fast enough where he can actually still do damage. Most commonly, you're going to see him on a low speed, like 0 speed, counterattack set build with effect resist, so you can actually resist getting his immortality and evasion stripped, or just no effect resist at all, which works fine as well if you take care in what you pick him against. And he's very good against cleave units because, yeah, his S1 will one-shot pretty much any squish unit if it lands, as long as, he doesn't die before then. So very, very powerful and definitely a good unit for countering cleave. But besides that, he's not going to really be used anywhere else. I think in the early stages of the game, Kayron was very, very powerful in PvP and PvE. He was known as like the Fire Arbiter Villager when Arbiter Villager was super strong in PvP. But now he's not really used anywhere. He's only used to counter cleave and aggressive teams, but he can still be used as a niche pick. I think he was picked in Epic 7 World Championship a few times, maybe once or twice actually. And he's still good as a niche pick, but not really worth using your bookmarks for because he's not really used anywhere in PvP besides like very niche, and also not really used in PvE at all except for areas of content where you need an AoE damage dealer, but you're way better off using Bomb Model Kana, who's free to play. Now for his artifact Shepherd of the Hollow, it's an evasion artifact for thieves, and basically the lower you get, the more damage you do, so it works well with Kayron in theory because he wants to be low HP. However, this is not going to really be used on too many units besides like Savior Aiden, and even though you don't have this artifact, it is fine because the main point of this artifact is the evasion, and you can always just use a 4-star artifact in Moonlight Dreamblade, which is easier to actually get. So I wouldn't really recommend spending your powder on this because even though this might be best in slot for like Savior Aiden, sometimes even Remnant Violet if you don't want to use Urvalin's artifact on him, the thing is like it's not really worth your powder for 240 powder because 1, you'll probably get this eventually, and 2, this rotates in the Powder of Knowledge shop anyways, it's not limited, and 3, there's already good evasion artifacts in the game, so like any evasion artifact can technically work on evasion units like Moonlight Dreamblade. You can also use something like a Double-Edged Crescent, right? There's so many options, so you don't really need this artifact per se. It's just only really if you want it for your Savior Aiden, but even then I wouldn't recommend it. Just having 1 copy of this on your Savior Aiden is not really worth it over like a Moonlight Dreamblade or even her own artifact against like dark units. The next unit that will be replacing the current banners will be Green Bellona. Now Green Bellona is extremely powerful in PvE. She does a ton of damage with her S1 because it will scale with the target's max HP, making her do a ton of damage against high HP bosses like in Abyss, also in Banshee, also very good in Nightmare Raid. And she can be used in PvP in the early game as a defense breaker for cleave because her S3 at max skill enhance and with her exclusive equipment, will actually have a 100% chance to actually defense break, which is very nice. And yeah, just a very powerful damage dealer for PvE. If you're looking for a Banshee 13 one-shotter, then she's a very good option. She's one of the best and easiest to gear for that, besides like Baiken and like Strays. And also, if you're looking for a good Nightmare Ray DPS unit for like Secretary Vera, she is a very, very good option as well. Can also be used for Devour Arakin because she has very high damage and very high AoE damage as well. However, if you don't really need a Banshee 13 one-shotter urgently, I don't really recommend pulling for her because that's the only area of content she's good in, and there's a ton of units that can one-shot Banshee, so I think she's an easy skip as well. Next, we have Bellona's artifact Iron Fan. Basically, if you use an attack that is AoE, then basically you get CR. It's not going to work for your S1 though. This is not that great. Like, Rangers have so many better artifacts here. If we look, we have Bloodstone, which is just going to be better for PvE in like almost every situation. We also have Miss Confili, which is from the Guilty Gear collab, which is going to be good for defense breaking. You also have the new Elegia Candle, which is AoE defense break, which is even better, right? There's just so many good artifacts for PvE for Rangers, and for PvP, of course, you guys know the best Ranger artifact in the game is Guiding Light, so you're not going to really use this artifact Iron Fan anywhere. So I definitely don't even recommend buying it because, yeah, you're not going to ever use this. It's not really good, and, you know, even after the rework, it still sucks. Also, if you guys saw my last video, you know that there is actually a unit that is teased to come out on your screen here that will be released in about 2 weeks. And it was confirmed, not confirmed, but kind of leaked on the Chinese server. And yeah, basically it said that it's supposed to come out on the 16th and go until the 30th, which should be at the end of the Kayron and Bellona banners. And after the banners that end after Kayron and Bellona. So you definitely want to save her bookmarks because she looks pretty nice design-wise. And a lot of people were saying that, yeah, she is holding Primo Gems, which is kind of funny. I didn't really notice that from Genshin. But yeah, she looks pretty insane, just artwork-wise. And we all know with the recent, releases of RGB units, usually they're very good in like one area of content or another. And for waifus, usually Smilegate makes them very strong in PvP, if you guys didn't know. Especially for units they invest a lot of time into artwork-wise, they don't want to go to waste. So units like, Noggle, the Nadawan Monk, very strong in PvP, probably will be the same as this unit, but, who really knows. But even so, even if she's not, like, I think Kayron and Bellona are pretty safe to skip on, and you definitely want to save your bookmarks. Hopefully you guys start saving, guys. It's a good time to save. I'm sure you guys are all excited to save because we finally have a rest period where we don't have to pull for everything, as we've had from the past summer and even leading into the end of fall. So hopefully you guys enjoy this time. It's not gonna really last that long in my opinion because if we actually look back, let me scroll very, very quickly for you guys a year ago during this time. You're gonna see that we have this Full Metal Alchemist collab that ran. We have possibly even another triple custom banner. So you guys might need your bookmarks soon enough. So it's a good time to save. Even the Espa collab was running, which had Karina, which is one of the best units in the game for PvP with that really OP artifact. So maybe you guys want to start saving because we might have some crazy banners. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you guys are stressing about whether you need to pull last minute for Kane and Destina, Destina is very good, but she's available from the story summon. If you actually look here, if I actually go to select the hero, she is good. Well, selected haste. You can see that Destina will be here at the bottom here. If I just do this, I'm pretty sure I can find her if my clicks will register. Yeah, there's Destina, so you can always pick her up later. She is also available from the selective summons. You might already have her. And Kane is only really used in Rift, which is going to be mostly for late game players because he's only good after Rift Controller 15. And even if you don't have Kane, you can use a lot of different units instead of him. So it's not really a must have in my opinion. Some people might say he is for Rift, but for most people that play the game, he's not really needed. So you don't really need to stress too much about these banners expiring. Just way better to start saving now.